So it's an honor to have you three Aish guys, because Aish is the organization that introduced me to codes 30 years ago. Marty Berger was the MC, and I could see from his way of speaking that I should become a little bit more interested in Torah. I was already about tshuva, but I wasn't studying so much. And the speaker about the codes, that was one of 7 topics, put me in touch with the researchers who were doing code research. So that included Harold Gans, a retired cryptologist for the Department of Defense. And he put me in touch with Professor Rips. Harold Gans and I both redid the software that Professor Rips did. And we all got the same results after a few consultations, a few small errors. So we proved to ourselves that the original research in statistical science was correct. But I always felt that it was overly complicated because that research had too many mathematical formulas involved with it. You know, you can have a simple code like this and you don't really need math very much to see.
So this one we were discussing earlier, so this is the skip is of 71, and it's starting in order going from joy to he will redeem them to Mashiach and Tishbe, right? And so it's starting here and then
Mashiach to joy.
Oh no, it's
left, right to left.
So it starts at Mashiach?
Oh, here, yeah. Let's see, where's go? Mashiach and they will. Oh, sorry, and Tishbe. Tishbe is the name of Eliyahu Hanavi,
Right.
Elijah the prophet. So that's a very interesting connection. All we started with was Mashiach and joy, because these we'll see them a lot together.
Like where?
In other codes. Once you see something in one code, and then you see it again, then it becomes really strong.
Wow.
And then mashal is the Twin Towers. When the first plane hit the first Twin Tower, it's a very rare event, but it could have been an accident. The second time it happens, it's not accidental anymore. So the double effect is basic and foundational, vital to understanding why some of these codes are 1 in a million when you see it the second time. The first time, it could be a fluke, just like the first plane. But the second time you see the same words, it's magnified exponentially.
So how would somebody? What is the order that somebody would read these letters?
So we first look for Mesos, which is joy, and Mashiach, right, next to each other.
But
because that's the simplest.
You would start at
One second. If they're like this, they're that's the simplest, and then this is the second simplest. So this is the second simplest. So you start when you're looking for a Mashiach, you start with a mem.
Right.
And there's 10% of the Torah is mem, so you have to look quite a few.
Right.
But you're looking for a shin next to it.
Right.
At all kinds of skips,
and
from
that was
2 to 1,000 or more.
And that was at 71.
This is at 71. We found a mem and a shin.
Right.
So then we looked for a yud, and
it was at 71.
there's many times when you see mem and shin and you don't have a yud. It's actually about 10 times 10 times 10. Very, very roughly. So if you're looking for a specific word and you're starting at a specific letter, you have a 1 in 10 chance of finding the next one, and a 1 in 10 chance of the next one and the next one. So it becomes, you multiply them together. If this was the only place you were looking, this would be like 1 in 1,000 because you have 3 letters. That's almost as complicated as it gets. Whereas in the original research with the rabbis' names and their dates of death, it was a very complicated formula that we reproduced, Harold Gans and I, from Professor Rips. Anyway,
So it goes 71 starting at mem,
Yeah,
and
I
then
actually-
71 to shin.
Yeah, this is easier to start with.
Yeah.
This is the form we use for finding codes. The spaces are removed, and so this is every 10. So that means that every 10 letters you'll find a vertical word.
Every 10 letters, you'll find a vertical word.
Because so I should say it the other way around. If you have a vertical word, it means that it's every 10 letters. Because this goes 10, this is the 11th, right, to 20, 21st, to 30. So that's 1, 11, 21. So every one is 10 more than the one before.
And the diagonal is 11.
But just because you made it 10 wide. If I made it 71 wide,
You
it
have
would be
that.
every 71 letters
Yeah.
going down.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I'm only showing the middle part here, but this is 71 wide. That's why the 71 is
I see.
here.
Right. Because otherwise it'd be way off the page.
Yeah, it is actually going out to about here,
Right.
and then going back to the next line.
Right.
Easy. And if it's diagonal, it's 11.
Diagonal, this was the 11 backwards. Roses.
Alright, as
Yeah.
a seesaw.
Yeah, I rigged it so that I had a few words.
Okay.
Some people think that
You just created this as an
the
example.
Torah was
to show
rigged.
Okay.
So, is there any significance to this one regarding where it stands, like in the Torah, like
In the
Parsha, or what's
Ah.
going on?
So just, a lot of times the verses are going to make a lot of sense with, here's an example. I just want to say everything at the same time here. This is in the beginning, Hashem created the heavens and the earth. You all know that initial verse. You read it backwards, you have the twins. Atayimim. The heavens and the earth, backwards, is the twins. And towers, the tower. And Kuf Gimel Elul, that's the date of 9/11.
Sorry, what's
23rd
the
of
word for
Elul.
tower right there? Oh, Migdal.
Migdal, yeah.
Migdal.
It's backwards.
Yeah. And massacre.
Elul.
Where do you see Migdal?
And the purple one.
It's hey, and then it's a mem
The
sophi.
Migdal. the tower.
Hamid.
Because it's a separate word, but it's a mem sophi.
Yeah. Now, here we have the verse, about 3,000 people fell from the nation that day. So you do have verses that make a lot of sense with the code. And this makes even more sense than you might think at first.
Wow.
We found this a few weeks after 9/11, but at that point the newspapers were saying 6,000 people died because it was the most difficult body count in history.
Wow.
You know, they had to go by employers' lists of employees, and they had to go by missing persons, and then they were finding actual bodies. So after some months, it kept coming down from 6,000. After several months, it was about 29 something. So the code was telling us all along that it was about 3,000 people.
What is that? That's a pasuk from Exodus?
Yeah, after the sin of the golden calf, about 3,000 people fell from the nation.
And that's located how close to the...
Gracious.
It's
I wasn't letter skip sequences.
pictorially, it's very close.
Yeah.
But it's a very big skip as well. So, but in the
14.
picture,
Yeah.
being close means something. Being physically close means something.
This is
Right.
14,000 letter skip.
Yeah, in this case.
Whoa.
So how do you like reach this point with a 14,000 letters?
So you start with 2, skip of 2, 3,
23
4,
of that.
5.
Yeah.
Try them all. And we do the same thing, by the way, in every text that we compare. We compare the Torah behavior to thousands of other texts. And we see some coincidences in any text, but nothing to the scale, to the astronomical scale that we see in the Torah.
So for this, you have the part in red, the twins, Hatamim, that part, and then you have to jump after the hey at the end, 14,146 letters till you reach that.
No, it's only the word going down is a letter
Yeah.
skip. All the other words are in the same line. They're in sequence. So the words going down are a letter skip. But
Yeah, these
The
are
other way
this
they're
is-
going
this is
backwards.
The complete
Or just
Torah
next to each other.
going to the next building and back because it's 14,000 letters.
Yeah.
Right. Each line is
Yeah,
14,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so going down, just like going
Right.
down here is every 10 letters, because it's a skip of 10. It's 10 wide.
Yeah.
This is 14,000 wide, so going down is every 14,000 letters.
So then how do you get to this? This pasuk?
Because that's where
This
the
one? So it's every 14,000, and you can just read what's there.
yeah.
Once you find an axis, a central axis, everything is frozen in place. You
So
can't play with what's there.
What was the 14,146
The word
letter
going
before
down.
the start of this puzzle?
Then go
So
up
it
one
would be
line.
one. It would be one above.
Yeah.
Every line is 14,000 letters.
But so what does that connect with then? What?
So it's just something that's in the picture. If we saw the whole thing, we would be off to the next building and we see many letters that we don't care about. But this happens to be the area we're focused on.
So there's
Because
no relation specifically between the 14,146 and the start of this pasuk?
Well,
There is,
they're
because-
the closest. It makes it
because-
so close.
Think of all these lines being to the next building.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got a whole bunch of letters that you don't care about that are going out there. But these happen to be right here.
Which is
so this
crazy.
verse there's only a few verses that are privileged to be in this area,
So you're-
physically close to the axis. Because there's a whole bunch of verses over into the next building that we don't see.
Yeah. All of the Torah from Bereshit, like from the beginning to the golden calf, that's all of it. But that's the only we see. Think about all the stuff that happens, and that's all the other text.
I'm not following the whole
Yeah.
the picture that you're kind of zooming in on here and how that works.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So with 10, right? Maybe you never kind of got this one. This is every 10 letters.
Yeah.
So that would mean that going from here to here is every 10 letters.
This is so right. We have 10 letters here,
Yeah.
but why is
So
this?
this would be 11, right? So 1 through 10,
Yeah.
and then 11 would be
Okay.
this one.
Okay.
So that means 1 plus 10 gives you 11.
Okay.
So that 11 plus 10 gives you 21.
Right.
So you have to go 10.
But this is all in the same part of the Torah.
Yeah. Well, I could have shown you just this much,
Yeah.
and it's still a skip of 10. But I'm not interested in what's over here.
Right.
So I'm only showing you this, but I lined it up the same way. I'm just showing you the interesting part.
But the difference here is that this is one snapshot. I could take a camera and snap a picture of that part of the Torah, and I could see all of this right next to each other. Where, as opposed to this, how do you go from such massive, like different parts of the Torah
Yeah.
to this zoomed-in
It's
picture?
It's the same. Instead of going 10, I'm going 14,000.
Yeah. But we
Each
don't
line,
see-
you're saying each line is
line's
14,146.
But we don't see
Yeah.
all 14,000 characters.
They're-
We
they're-
only see
they're
that
going to
snippet.
the next building.
So it's like literally imagine the text going that like a scroll going all the way out there, all the way 14,000 letters, and the next line 14,000 letters, next line
Right.
14. And now we've zoomed in just on this sequence where we found 23 of Elul, which is the 420, and we zoomed in there, and then any of the words around there, like in theory, can be relevant to that word because the chances that it's like so close to it, the proximity of the word that there is.
So let me say it this way: if we had double this, if we had 28,300 almost,
Yeah.
we would be seeing only these two lines. If we put 14,000 and 14,000, we'd be seeing only these two lines, and we'd be missing all this stuff over here. But we're always showing the interesting part.
Okay. Okay.
You know? You have to think about it for a while because it's not straightforward, but it's actually every letter is used. Every letter of the Torah is used. We just don't show the ones that are so far away.
Right. Right. And because you're only right. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
So then
I see what you're saying.
yeah, this verse about 3,000 people.
So
This-
if you did extend this, so this is 14. Sorry, this is 14,146.
Yeah.
All the way across on this line.
Yeah.
Where does this then pick up again at the next start of 14? At the end of that.
14,146.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then that goes all the way, and then that
Yeah.
goes all the way.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And okay, and then until you get down to here, right? So where this is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines down on this sheet,
Yeah.
you're talking about a massive
Massive
amount of letters
Yeah, like,
between them.
Gracious.
It's like a whole book of Torah.
13,000
Yeah.
13,000
Gracious
letters
text.
or so. And, as you can see, this is the first book of Torah, the Aleph.
Right.
That's Bereshit. And then
Ah,
Beit
that's what
is,
that's for. Okay.
Shemot.
So what are these other? What's in the
Exodus.
code here? What?
So
what information?
this is the chapter and verse. So it's chapter 1, verse 1 is Bereshit bara Elokim.
Okay.
It's Hashemayim. Hashem created the heavens and the earth.
Okay.
And then 14,000 later, you go all the way to verse 12.
Right.
And that's and then on about 7 or 8 lines you get to the next book of Exodus.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah. I always want to jump to the conclusion that you have to.
Yeah, it takes a second to understand how the system
What's
works.
the significance of you having found this number? Like they ended up reducing it, the 6,000 estimate, saying it was closer to 3,000. But you said you found this like a few weeks after it happened.
So when we found this verse, it was a few weeks after 9/11, and the body count was 6,000. If you looked at any newspaper, that was the estimate. So it wasn't until 5 months later that we realized the code was correct, because we were scratching our heads. Why does it say only 3,000?
Why were you looking for this? Like what? How did you start looking?
After 9/11,
23
we looked for the date of 9/11,
And from
Put
there
them
you
on low.
expanded
and then we noticed that next to the date is the twins backwards.
wow. And this whole time you're plugging in different codes, just like looking like which sequence of how many. Oh, but you already had established 14,146.
For Kuf Gimel Elul. Yeah, once you have an axis, then everything's frozen around it.
So you didn't have another Kuf Gimel Elul anywhere else in the Torah?
I think this might not be the smallest skip for Kuf Gimel Elul. Probably not. I think we might have took the word twins and Kuf Gimel Elul and found it here. I don't remember the sequence of how we found it.
Because the other one could have had something in there too, right?
Exactly.
It's possible you guys missed
Yeah.
something, or
Usually we try to focus on the smallest skip because that's Doron Wisdom was one of the original researchers with Professor Rips, and he established this idea of smallest skip as being an important thing, because the smaller the skip, the more we think it's intentionally
Out there.
encoded. But here's Bin Laden, and this is about the 5th smallest skip for Bin Laden. But what happens is you have a whole string of interesting words around it. Cursed is Bin Laden. All that part alone is already not expected. You pick any adjective in the dictionary randomly, blue, shiny.
right?
Cursed is powerful and relevant. So you can tell the statistics yourself. You can do this exercise with the dictionary. Cursed, blue, shiny. You can see that cursed is 1 in 100 or better. Right?
So what's the significance? Destruction, I will W.
I will give you the nickname destruction. Hormah is a very noted word. In Tanakh, you'll find this. After we destroyed certain cities in Israel, when we were settling the land, we renamed the city Hormah. So the act of naming and the word Hormah is already connected. So here it's saying, I will give you the name, Hormah. And I think it's maybe, addressing Bin Laden. In other words, you are toast, Bin Laden. Right? And then, and revenge belongs to Mashiach.
That's crazy. This is all with the 6,000.
It's what?
This is all with the 6,000 skip.
Yes.
That's crazy.
6598. But again, once you find Bin Laden at that skip, everything is frozen around it.
I get it.
And that's what it reads, how it
Crazy.
reads.
So when you first started doing these with your own software, and you were finding things that weren't things that Eliyahu Rips or anybody else was doing before, it was just what surprised you most about the codes?
Well, a lot of them were found by Professor Rips. Some of them I added these two words myself because I had an automated dictionary. What surprised me was just how, any one of these is just so unlikely. Because when you have, a reference to Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, with Mashiach, and it's right there. You don't have another place. You have hundreds of places where you could put another word. You count how many places you could put, but there's only one place to put it if you want it to attach to Mashiach. It's right here. So these letters are kind of like do or die letters. And if they say something about Eliyahu Hanavi, that's, you don't need the math so much. You just need to know how many possible nonsense letters. To even find a word here is not so simple.
Right.
And how many of those words are actually going to be meaningful with Mashiach?
Right.
As meaningful as a reference to Eliyahu Hanavi. So you can see that this was 1 in 100 or better to just have the word cursed. And this is probably 1 in 100 or better. I'm very conservative with my numbers.
Yeah.
What was the magazine that the study was in from Eliyahu Rips? The magazine, it was Statistics magazine?
Statistical Science.
Statistical Science. So basically the trajectory of this, at least in like the public discourse, was it was published in Statistical Science and it caused this big stir. And then there was a moment where you had all of these people who were trying to refute the studies in statistical science, and then it kind of fizzled out from there. And then you had the book that was written, The Bible Codes, by, Michael Doron, or I think his name is?
Michael Drosnin.
Michael Drosnin. And then it kind of became something that was more in the realm of like pop science, right? It wasn't taken as seriously anymore. Why do you think that happened, and where did those later studies go wrong?
Well, Dylan, thank you for filming this. You're from Australia?
Yeah.
There's a professor in Australia named Brendan McKay, a math professor. And very early on, I was looking at this stuff, and so was he. 30 years ago, there were chat groups. There weren't so sophisticated things on the net.
Yeah.
But he was on the same chat group as me, and he immediately was saying, "I smell a rat." He says, "This is not this. They're cooking their data. They're not doing this properly." But he didn't even have a chance to look at it before he was starting to say these things. And I wondered, why is he jumping to such conclusions so quickly? And he's the main critic. He evolved into being he's also a Wikipedia administrator, which has a lot of power. And you can tell the editors you shouldn't be saying bad things about Amalek, for example. He actually said this to an editor. He said Amalek was a nation just like any other.
He's a Jew?
No, he's not Jewish. But a lot of some Jewish professors were with him and appreciated his work because they didn't. There's a lot of reasons why people don't like codes. But we found out just a few months ago that Brendan McKay, one of his famous things he did was he found assassinations in the book Moby Dick.
Right.
You familiar with that?
Yeah.
So, because Michael Drosnin, the author of Bible Code, said if my critics can find an assassination in Moby Dick, then I will be convinced that my stuff is nonsense. Because Michael Drosnin found the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin before it happened.
Right.
And he published it in his book.
And warned him, right?
And he warned
Right.
Michael,
Yitzhak Rabin.
Yitzhak Rabin. So 30 years ago, Brendan McKay did this in Moby Dick. He found these assassinations. What did we find out a few months ago? His version of Moby Dick is completely doctored.
What do you mean?
He wanted to erase for Trotsky. He found ice pick or something like ice pick in the text of Moby Dick. Steelhead of the shaft or something like that. And so, and Trotsky was assassinated with an ice pick. So he found this wonderful phrase in Moby Dick and he said, okay, I want to find Trotsky. So I'm going to move this part of the text so that there's an R here. And I'm going to move this so that
He
there's
completely
an O here.
doctored the
He
text?
completely doctored
How
it.
did you find that out?
Our colleague in France, finally took a look after 30 years. Because I was thinking to myself, well, I was thinking this, but I said, no, that's too obvious, it's too crazy, he wouldn't do that. So I never checked it out. But he did.
Wow.
You have entire
how
section headings were omitted, sometimes allowed, sometimes omitted for no reason. Words, upon instead of up. He would do things just so that he would get his letters.
How was this confirmed that he doctored the text?
What I'm telling you, you can see,
Test it.
because this text is 150 years old. It's a famous, classic. So we have the original American and British editions. And those two editions, without computers 150 years ago, are in very good sync with each other.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple editor errors. Maybe I don't even think things like color versus, color in American or British. But his is completely 86 or something obvious errors. So that was really interesting.
So you have proof that he literally changed the text in order to create a false codes.
Yeah.
Wow. Because his study was a very popular one that countered the Torah Code studies, and that's what was picked up
he
by
had a couple of different
major
things.
newspapers.
This was one thing that I'm talking about. His response to statistical science was more subtle, but it was not so different because he was accusing the researchers of cheating by figuring out which versions of the rabbi's name to use and which ones not to use. So he did the same thing in War and Peace, and he was able to get a good result in War and Peace because he chose his words. So this is another reason I don't think that the original research is such a good model to prove or disprove. The best defense is a good offense, and when you have something so simple and straightforward, you can see it for yourself. And this is the advance that we've made over the years. We realized that the codes were giving us an audit trail, because when you see joy and Messiah in one code, and then they occur again in a second code. Remember what I said about the second plane hitting the Twin Towers? When you see the same thing happening twice, it's an exponentially more strong result. And the codes behave that way. The one code gives permission to search for the second code. And by giving permission, I mean an audit trail. Anybody can see that the researcher wasn't making things up. The researcher found the one code legitimately, and then the natural thing to do was to try to find it again, because we started to suspect that there was this duplication going on, and we're seeing it more and more. So the codes are providing us with the proof. It's a self-contained proof, so that nobody has to trust the researchers.
Was Michael Drosnin's book, did that include new research that he did, or was it just reporting on?
He did a lot of ad hoc queries.
Do you agree with his methods?
I agree with a few of the tables he found, that they were interesting, but he's not a mathematician, and his book was also an unfortunate first splash into the world.
Because people stopped taking it as seriously after.
Yeah, the whole effect wore off quickly because of the complication of the original work, and because Drosnin's stuff was not so scientific.
So who did the War and Peace codes? Was that McKay as well?
Yeah, that was McKay.
And were those more effective than the Moby Dick one?
Those were more subtle. Those convinced a lot of people that there was no truth to the original.
So how would you counter that? People who say, "Oh, we found similar patterns in War and Peace."
Yeah, that's why we're here.
But,
All these examples since then are just obvious proof, but it's not obvious until you understand how it works. So it takes a lot of words to explain why it's obvious.
Go ahead.
I heard like in 1993 or 90, they ran a computer simulation against like 1 million books, and like because they're going against a critic, and they're like, if you can't find a statistical evidence in these 1 million books, then I'll give you approval to get published in the statistics magazine, and they ran this computer for like several years.
Yeah,
And they couldn't find anything.
it sounds similar to a lot of what we do. I don't know exactly the study you're talking about, but we're always comparing to other texts. And this, I'm trying to find a good example. So yeah, I actually have one here. Oh, here it is, actually, right here. So this one, we were looking at this whole sentence.
Uh-huh.
Let's just look at the bottom part. Revenge belongs to Messiah.
Yep.
That's right here. Revenge belongs to Messiah. Skip 6598. There's another place with 6598 where it also has and revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And here's belongs to
Mashiach.
Messiah. Le Mashiach. To the Messiah. So the same words are happening in a different place with the same skip. So this is, I don't know, it's 1 in 1,000. It's very, very unlikely. So this is the audit trail. You can see why the researcher would want to search for this again, especially after we started suspecting that the codes were handing us this gift of an audit trail.
So
Understand what I mean?
So this would be your response. So somebody came up to you and they said,
This is my response.
well, I read a study that said they found codes with an equal statistical, improbability in War and Peace.
Yeah.
And you would respond by saying
Well,
what?
that whole study was a completely different kind of study. And it was looking for names with dates of death, and it had what people call wiggle room. And there's two things that you have to really know to cut through all the confusion. Wiggle room and back room. Wiggle room means you had some chance to try different names for the rabbis.
Mm-hmm.
Or different forms of the date. And when you have the names of God, for example, that's going to answer both wiggle room and back room. Back room is, okay, these are very interesting codes, but you must have a billion failed codes in your back room that you're not showing anybody. And this would be a very legitimate question, because if you have trillions of codes to choose from, you will find some coincidences that you can highlight and make everybody amazed about, and you can hide all your failures.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good question. So how do the names of God answer both? They preempt both questions, because there's nothing more important according to the Torah than God. God created the heavens and the earth according to the Torah. You can be an atheist, and you have to admit that according to the Torah, there's nothing more important than God. So it's something that, one of the few things that is universally agreed upon. According to the Torah, God is important.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get much simpler than that, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing that almost forces us to use that topic. If we want to choose a topic that shows that we don't have a backroom full of failures, we should choose the topic of God's names. And even if everything in the back room failed, it's still interesting that God's names are so strong, right? So we get rid of that whole, we preempt that whole.
By looking for
vacuum
codes that
market.
include the names of God.
Yeah.
And so what are some examples
And
of...
I want to get into that.
Okay.
And the other half of that is the wiggle room. The names of God are spelled only one way, and they're only in a couple different passages in Torah.
Right.
When God is telling Moshe, these are my names.
Right.
Elohim is speaking. He's telling Moshe, I used to be called Kel Shakai. From now on, I'll be called Yod Kei Vav Kei.
Right.
So those are four names: Kel, Shakai, Yod Kei Vav Kei, Elohim. They're right there, where in two verses next to each other, where God is telling Moshe his names. There's one other place where Moshe says, "Who should I say sent me?" And God says, "I will be as I will be." Ekieh, Asher Ekieh.
Right.
So that's the other one. And all of these things That's the whole data collection. You don't need a list of rabbis in this case. And so wiggle room is gone, back room is gone. Those are the two arguments that come in different forms, but that's the cutting to the chase. That's what's really going on.
I'm so curious.
Yeah.
What emotion do you feel when you like find one of these?
It's very gradual. I'm very lucky to just be involved in this. I have a sort of a really logical mind, and so if things don't get to my heart right away, but they do over time. I actually talked to Professor Rips about this one time, and I said, why? I know it in my brain. I don't know if I know it in my heart. And he said to me, well, you traveled across the world to meet me. You must have some kind of, right? So, yeah, that put that whole thing.
Now, he was an unparalleled kind of mathematical genius in the fact he did a lot of these codes in his head, right? He wasn't using a computer software.
No, he used the computer, but he just knew how to think about things, and he had both the heart and the head constantly on top working order.
I heard stories about him.
For example, I want to tell you something. He said to me when we were looking for these names of God, there's one set that keeps saying, "I will be your God." And for me, it was like a mathematical precision. I will be your God. Ekiyeh, that word Ekiyeh we were talking about, and Elokecha, from Elohim, your God, not just God, but your God. Ekiyeh Elokecha, that kept coming up. So his response was, "This is a call." He said it just very simply. This is a call.
A call?
Not a call. Not just a mathematical lineup, but what it was. What the relationship was in this code. So he had it in his heart, in his head, like instantly accessible. And he came up with the word preempt. He's a Russian speaker. I wouldn't have come up with that word as an English speaker, but it's the perfect word. Preempting the backroom argument and the wiggle room argument, because the argument goes away. I keep getting sidetracked. What did you ask?
I heard stories about it because he was in jail for a bit, right? For political reasons.
He was protesting the invasion of Czechoslovakia.
And I thought some of these skips or some of these codes he was doing in his head when he was in jail. At least that's what I heard.
No. I don't think he knew about codes at that point in his life. He moved to Israel, I think 40 years ago or more, and I think that's when he started with codes. But he set out to statistically measure what's going on.
So why
he was inspired by Rabbi Weissmandel from the 1940s. Rabbi Weissmandel put everything on index cards. He didn't have computers.
So he's who I'm thinking of then.
Yeah. He was the inspiration for Professor Rips.
Yeah. And he was doing a lot of this in his head.
Well, he was writing it on cards and seeing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like when I first came to Aish, did the discovery thing. But this was the bit that broke me because I did computer science. I'm like very analytical and like, so the chances and the craziness of codes. I don't get how the whole world doesn't see this. And like when it was first coming out, like it's like, well, this is insane. Like,
well, because they see the reports, they see the studies like with War and Peace, and they think, oh, look, this proves that it's not a fluke. That there's something unique about it.
So my whole reason for showing codes is to show people that they can figure it out for themselves.
Right.
Because when you have Joy and Messiah that keep coming up together, and then you have these extensions, this is one kind of thing. You can see it for yourself. Like I was trying to say, different adjectives that make sense here.
Right.
Cursed is powerful. You don't have to be a genius to agree with that, right? You don't have to. You can just look in a dictionary at 100 random words. How many adjectives are as powerful as cursed?
Mm-hmm.
So then you can see that there's something not normal here. And Messiah adds another exponential Messiah is also extremely powerful. And revenge is connected to Messiah, just like joy is in several codes.
Sorry to keep harping on this, but I want to
Yeah.
understand the difference in this study. Can you simplify what was different about the War and Peace code research?
Yeah, so the War and Peace research had too much wiggle room. I believe it was completely correct, especially because Harold Gans redid it with city names instead of dates of death. Yeah, he did it with rabbis and city names. So he was forced to use the same names that they used in the original study. So the original study locked in place for him, so that he got rid of the wiggle room. So there's about 5 or 7 proofs.
What was the
Like
wiggle room
Gans.
that War and Peace had?
Well, you can choose any name. A lot of rabbis have 5 names to choose from. So you could choose 3 or 4 of the names, and the one or two that didn't work out so well, you could exclude them from the study.
Did we not do something similar in the first?
The allegation. But so this is what they did in War and Peace. They chose certain names to fit. So they had a lot of wiggle room.
Didn't we
And
also choose certain-
each name, each rabbi, there was enough wiggle room that you could get a slightly good result for each rabbi. When you have 30 rabbis and they're all slightly good, the overall result is extremely strong. So this is another way that it's not straightforward. Here, it's either strong or it's not. You don't need 30 weak results adding up to a strong result. You have a single strong result.
So then what about if you compare the War and Peace rabbi study with the
Torah?
with the Torah rabbi study, how was the Torah? Because we also chose names in the Torah rabbi study.
The Torah, that study was dictated by what was in an encyclopedia, and also an expert put his own opinion on top of that. So in my opinion, it was not a reproducible study. I was happy that I started my research after that study, because I would not have chosen to even publish that, because I just think it's too difficult to verify. I'm not saying anything about whether it was correct or not. I believe it was correct because Harold Gans redid it with cities.
Yeah.
But I chose not to get involved in more details, and it just
So you favor more
these
codes that are
the-
smaller.
And the time it takes me to explain that study,
Yeah.
I could be showing what
These are what can't be replicated in War and Peace.
correct.
How do we know that?
Because what happens when you have a second
Let us skip this thing.
occurrence of something, right?
Yeah.
You can find single planes sitting single towers in any text, but you can't find 2 planes sitting sitting 2 towers.
So the uniqueness is the doubles, where you find the same skip
double
and the same
effect.
words.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily. What about something like this? Because this isn't a double.
But this is all in the same area.
But it's all in the same area.
There's about five different ways of showing the reality of the codes. This is the most solid way.
And there are many of those,
Yes.
the doubles.
Yes.
And
Especially for the names of Hashem, which is the whole, which gets rid of the backroom argument.
So maybe we could get into that next. But something like this is not as like you're able to replicate something like this in War and Peace.
But it's still quite interesting because it hints about something that we wouldn't know in advance. We didn't know there was 3,000.
Right.
So this is another whole kind of proof. Thanks.
Okay.
This is the kind of thing that
But something like this.
when something happens beforehand, and over 3 decades we've found 3 or 4 cases of this, not very many.
Mhm.
So it's not like we can at this drop of a hat find something about the future. But when we see something in advance, that's a whole different flavor of proof. And this is another flavor.
So real quick, if we didn't have this pasuk, let's say that wasn't a part of it, something like this, is that something you'd be able to replicate in War and Peace?
Possibly.
Possibly. What about something like, the Rambam acrostic that then goes into Mishnah Torah, skips of 50s, it was separated by 613 letters
Yeah,
in Mishnah
yeah.
Torah?
That's that was interesting. But let me show you the things that I really
Please
that are
do.
really standing out for me, because they're the most straightforward. So the names of God. It's dangerous for me to look through these because everyone I want to talk about. This, by the way, this is
Another
the
one,
Messiah with joy and revenge.
just like that one,
Yeah, it's
almost.
typically
It's
we'll
only
have
28 layers.
2 or 3 repetitions, not just one.
And the repetition doesn't need to be the same skip distance.
No,
Right.
but once you find the axis, the Messiah, everything is frozen around it. So then you're just reading what's there.
Mm.
I'm just curious, when we're looking at these, are we looking at a clip in the middle of a long, like 20 character thing, or at the
28.
start? It's always at the
It's
start.
we always show the interesting part in the middle, but this is 28, so it's to about here.
And also, like to this side, there's also maybe like 10 or
it
something.
could be 10 and 10 and 8 in the
Mhm.
middle, something like that.
Okay.
Where was I going? To the names of the show. So these are many connected codes with the names of Hashem. I'm just going to focus on the one for the moment. It's the 4 names I was talking about before. Yud Kei Vav Kei Elohim and Kel Shakai. Kel and Shakai.
Mhm.
Shakai is 4 times in both directions. Let me see if I have better. What was that for a second?
Sure. So these are just the names of Hashem, not like connected to other phrases or words. You're just finding the names of Hashem in different skips.
Yes.
Got it. Oh no, there are some phrases. I am Hashem.
Oh, a
I will
few,
be your
yeah.
God. Right.
Yeah. Here's the one. Yeah, this is the same one, just easier to see. Yud Kei Vav Kei Elohim.
Good.
Shakai is twice this way and twice vertically.
And that's at what skip? Where's the skip here?
4,461
Where's this
At the bottom.
Yeah, where did you find it?
Ah,
at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, so, but that's the best skip for this phrase. Since this is a long phrase, you won't find it at small skips usually. This is the minimal skip for this phrase. Yud Kei Vav Kei Elohim. So again, it's frozen, everything's frozen around it. So this is the best place in Torah for Yud Kei Vav Kei Elohim. And so Shakai is happening 4 times in a small area. And for many years, I couldn't measure this.
why?
I didn't have AI.
Ah.
AI gave me a program to measure this in like half a day or less. I said to AI, I have this grid, I want you to take random grids from all over Torah and see how many times you find 4 Shakais in a small area. In software, I verified it because I don't trust AI, but I do trust it to save me months of reasonable time.
And then checking it.
Yeah. So it found that you had to look in about 10,000 places randomly throughout Torah or Moby Dick or any other text. It's about 1 in 10,000 to find 4 of them in such a small area. Fine. This is like the first plane hitting the first twin tower. This is not yet interesting. Even though it's 1 in 10,000, I don't allow it to be interesting yet. I only allow it to give me permission to do it again. So this is the first plane. Over here is the second plane.
So when you say 1 in 10,000, that means how many words in the letters?
It means that if you check 10,000 random places in Torah with different skips, 10,000 different random grids, how often do you find 4 Shakais in such a small area? You have to try about 10,000 attempts.
There must be like a handful of them because there's more than 10,000.
There's many of them.
And those are all at different skip intervals, yeah?
Yeah, you could try.
Right.
AI tried all different skips.
Up to like what number?
I think 10,000 something.
Wow.
So I already know that this is rare, but what else do I know? It's giving me a pattern. Not only do I restrict myself to what words I searched for, I'm restricting myself to the pattern here. Because I could have looked for Shakai coming in as vertical configuration only, or horizontal only, or whatever, but I chose, it's giving me the pattern, it's giving me the template here, and I'm going to use it over here. I'm going to use the same AI program that I used here. I'm going to use it to measure how many times do I have kale. 14 times. I think it's 14.
It's a bunch of combo ones.
Yeah.
And again, it's something in the ballpark of 1 in 10,000. So this 1 in 10,000 I can take home and keep it. I'm only using this as permission to measure this. I don't know if this makes sense.
Wait, you're using the Shakai as permission to do
Do this one.
Yeah, like you said, that one's a verse tower, which could have been random, but then you find that one, it's very like obvious that this is happening.
Exactly.
Like the kavanah, intentionally.
So what is the software that you use today is different from what you originally used because it incorporates AI?
Just for this particular measurement, I used a new program. It's not only for this chart. I'm using it for others.
Is it a new program that you developed?
Yeah, very quickly with AI.
You know, Josh Gerhardt's also developed a letter skips program.
Who's that?
Another guy at Aish. But
Well,
he's you can search for any word and it'll find all the spots in it. He wants to add so you can add a second variable.
Yeah.
Is can we see your software?
Yeah, it's in the research mode. It's not so simple to actually just.
Look at.
But no. So one of the questions was, are we doing something to the text like Red and McKay did to Moby Dick? Are we
Right.
changing the text around?
Right.
But that's step 0, and that's one of the easiest things to verify. And you can take there's dozens of programs out in the world, and they all will give you this result. If you look for your theme, you can see this grid, exactly what I'm showing here. So that's a non-question. The question is, how does the logic fit together? The square zeros question is not a question, but I know somebody who spent months on that question, and I didn't understand why. So answer it immediately. Anyway,
You didn't understand why what?
why somebody would spend so much time verifying that these charts are not are really in the Torah, because there's so many researchers around the world doing so many searches and so many publications. Any one of them that was wrong would be flagged immediately.
How do you think that we would make it easier for the layman who's interested in the subject but isn't as statistically savvy or computer savvy to understand that these things are grounded in real statistics?
That's my whole life's work, and that's so hard for me to do. I don't know why, but it's
Well, partly I think it would be putting the software in their hands so that they could actually demonstrate it themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
So is the software that you created, is it at the point where you'd be able to share it with people and people could use it?
I'm thinking about making it more accessible.
Should talk to Aish because we just did some leadership thing and they built like a Gemara. You were part of it?
Yeah.
Like how you you can explain it better, like the Gemara thing.
Yeah, it's just using AI to
Yeah, we build crazy tools for like studying Gemara. We made a Shabbos app to like go through all the information in like literally like a couple of days with the AI creating. But Josh, that's one of the projects that he's working on. Is like this searching up Torah names or Torah codes.
Okay.
So and that it's like very visually appealing and like
Yeah.
engaging.
yeah.
So is that something that we'd be able to help you with in getting that
Please.
software together?
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
I do have one idea as to why, which I think you kind of alluded to already, but like my dad, for instance, when I told him about the Torah Codes,
Yeah.
he reacted in a way that was very weird to me. Like I've never seen him act this way. He started getting like very defensive, and seemed a little uncomfortable because I felt that he understood was true, and that's why I think he was getting defensive about it. He was like, because he doesn't believe, and he was like, if there's something this amazing, there must be something equally so terrible that happened, because that's like an amazing good thing that like it said like these people were killed, right? Like the Nazis, and then he's like, there must be also something equally boring that's written out in the codes of Torah. Like you can write out that like my glass of water right here is going to be half full at this time of day right now, and that's predicted in the Torah too. And I wonder if other people, like you're explaining, like with some of the kashas against your work, even if it wasn't proven to be true, like some people still might feel like you have so many words in the Torah, it must be possible that you could say tons of things in there.
Yeah, well, you can find a lot of crazy stuff if you don't have methods where you have one of the things about finding something twice is that it's a solid method. And when you use a solid method, you're not going to find nonsense. So yeah, but you can find lots of nonsense without these solid methods. But yeah, there's a.
But even with the solid method, could you maybe find not nonsense, but like something that's not so crazy, like the 9/11 thing's crazy. Could you say, like, isn't it? I feel like someone told me everything's said in the Torah. Like everything that ever happened is written in the Torah.
You can find small details about things, but they're not widely known. So then, they're not typically something we would publish. But you can find small details.
Did you ever find something like you ever were curious about, like my wedding date or something, and like put it in?
I mean, I did find my own name here, Art Levitt, and it's actually has tshuva. I look for tshuva as well. Tav, space, shin, space, vav, space, vav, base, space, a, tshuva. Every other, you see it?
Yeah, tshuva.
In between Art and Levitt.
What's the other word?
And these words, the Torah, your salvation.
What's the skip?
That's cool.
The
It's just double
is
or triple.
2219.
Oh, so it says your name twice. That's what we're seeing.
Oh, this was the first search, and then these were
I
words
see.
found afterwards. But then on the other side, I have. Do you guys know what soul music was?
Yeah,
When
of
you were
course.
young.
Like
Yeah.
older version of R&B.
I'm old enough to have actually enjoyed it when I was a teenager, and the son of Mac Rice contacted me. Mac Rice was a soul music writer. He wrote Mustang Sally, and so he wrote a bunch of songs like that. And so his son asked me to find a code for him.
This is a Jew?
No.
Oh.
And his name is Sir. He was also known as Sir Mac Rice. So here is.
No way.
Let's see, where is it? Oh, Bonnie. Yeah, Bonnie Mac Rice. Here's Bonnie, Rice, and Mac. Bonnie Mac Rice. And here's Soul, Samak Vav Lamed.
Yeah,
And here's Nefesh, the other word for soul.
yeah.
And Sir is in between Nefesh here.
Oh.
Sir.
That's cool.
And what's all that long yellow?
And enlightened is in here somewhere. Naor in green. Enlightened. Yeah, and here's another Nefesh over here. So it seems like an intentional code.
What's the yellow part?
That's a verse. It says, to show you my power, so that my name will be declared in all the earth. I don't know if that's a commentary on the code. It seemed like a fitting commentary, but anyway, this is not what I would use as a proof, but I would, I find these kinds of things interesting.
Yeah.
This is what I use for my proof.
Right.
So how many letter skips is this? 1240.
1240.
Wow. Good.
What is this? You made a film?
Another man made a film about us, something like 10 years ago. Richard Dawkins, I think.
Richard Dawkins is
No.
the atheist.
No.
I doubt that he's putting together a documentary on Torah Codes.
That'd be good though. I'd like it.
we had,
Richard Dawkins. This is what gets him to do teshuva.
I wouldn't be surprised. Could be talking on his level.
That says Richard Shaw.
oh, Richard Shaw. Thank you.
So, where can people watch this?
You can order it somewhere. I guess.
Do you feel like it did your work justice?
I mean, I was shown explaining a double effect without any words. It was just like part of the documentaries never are able to get into the detail that I would like them to.
Right.
But I like to be part of them because they do help a little bit.
Right.
What about the Megillah?
Yeah, the Megillah. Yeah, there's a lot of codes about Purim.
Like Josh told me, this is where I heard about you. Is he said you found one where it's 12,000 something, and that's like the same amount of letters as in the Megillah. It spells out Megillah in the
12,111, and Rabbi Weissmandel from the 40s, without the computer, lined up everything 12,111 letters, and he found Amalek and Esther,
Megillat Esther.
Megillat Esther, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, he found quite a lot, and then Doran Whitston found some more. We have a whole page of it on our website,
What's the website?
TorahCodes.net.
I really do think the key is getting an accessible software in front of people where they can test these things for themselves, and that's how you'll actually get it to spread, because people don't, especially when this is a hard concept for them to process, they don't trust that they're being given information that's accurate. Especially then when they read these studies, you type in Torah Codes online and you see newspaper articles saying, oh, there were other studies done, the Brenda McKay one, such and such, that proves it wrong.
What would be cool? They literally talked to Josh about this. He should, what he should do is, his software is put in so you can put other books in and other texts, and then you can test, looking for codes and stuff in them as well.
Yeah.
And now that'd be cool. But yeah,
We let Reddit get a hold of it, and then here's what you won't believe I found, and
bring it. Yeah.
very funny.
But the nice thing is, like, because you already have all of this research with that software, you can include presets, so people can start to see how the codes work and different ones that appear, which will then give them ideas for things to look up on their own. You know, and that way you democratize it, and then you also have more people who are capable and interested and accelerating research and finding more codes, and it kind of snowballs.
Right.
But the first thing to do is to get that software out there for people to use.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
That was-
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you so much.
You could send me a
Yeah.
Copy,
Mate,
okay.
mate, copy.